So basically, if you look at it like this, the Browns traded Jim Schwartz and Kevin Stefanski for Todd Monken. That's not like, you put it in the simplest terms. I don't see that as an upgrade. There are reports now that Jim Schwartz was not happy when he was informed he didn't get the head coaching gig, and he told coaches as he said goodbye at the Browns facility in Berea that he would not be back. Does that surprise you at all? You are very aware. You're aware of Schwartz and his tenure with the Lions. Is that I don't know what the Browns expected. That's not a surprise even a little.
No, not at all. I've known Jim Schwartz for a very long time, and I've kept in touch with him since his days in Detroit. And yeah, that's exactly who the guy who he is. He is not going to take being passed over like that well. I'm sure we probably haven't even heard the depths of where it's going to go with him, because he is not a guy who will hold his tongue, and he does certainly have thoughts. He will share them, perhaps to his own detriment in finding a job somewhere else. I don't know, but I'm expecting scorched earth from Jim Schwartz, honestly, in the next couple of days.
Now, again, you covered him when he was the head coach. What was he like as a head coach? Because it was down to basically him, potentially Nate Scheelhaus and Monk, and they decided not to go with Schwartz. As a head coach, what was he like?
Yeah, he was a very good coach. He inherited the worst team in NFL history, the 0-16 Lions, and I did cover that team, and I also covered the winless Browns. And the winless Browns had a crap ton more talent than that Lions team did. Of the guys who were the primary starters at their position in 2008, 19 of the 22 were out of football 2 years later. It was just an awful, awful roster, and he quickly built them into a prideful unit. He had stars that he leaned on: Ndamukong Suh, Matthew Stafford, Calvin Johnson, and he played to their strengths. He forged an identity of us against the world, the Detroit versus everybody that you might hear out there. He came before that, but he certainly embodied it, and the players bought in, and they wound up getting to the playoffs in 2 seasons. Now he couldn't sustain it, and there were some uh, personnel management issues that plagued him throughout his time. But he was the right guy to coach a bad football team, and like it or not, that's where the Cleveland Browns are right now. This is a last place football team that's looking up, that's trying desperately to find some sort of identity. You've got a guy in the building who's proven he can do that, and you let him walk away. I can't fathom that.
Yeah, the challenge now becomes what the defense wanted. His players on defense wanted him to get the head coaching job. That usually doesn't end well when it's a different guy.
Yeah, and keep in mind too, his scheme is somewhat specific. He has coaxed the best out of Myles Garrett. Not that anybody couldn't do. I mean, Miles is Miles. He's fantastic. I love what he did with Carson Schlesinger this past year. I love the way that he integrates the safeties into the run game, the spacing that he has with his pass rush designs. Those require certain types of players, and the Browns have them. You can't just plug in a different style of defensive coordinator now and hope that they're going to achieve the same results that Schwartz did. That's one of the issues that you have when you make a change. Even though he does run a fairly common base scheme as the old Jim Johnson defense, there are intricacies to it that Jim Schwartz perfected with this specific group of Browns, and that's going to hurt them. Aside from the fact that, like I said, he was great at getting guys to buy in and believe. That defense, you saw it this year. Those guys, they didn't care what the offense was doing. They fought. They battled. They had an identity. They had pride. That was Schwartz, and I'm not sure that that's going to persist without Jim Schwartz. Assuming that he leaves, I can't. I mean, he is under contract. That the Browns could play some hardball there, but that's going to be over my pay grade to analyze there.
Yeah, and if they play hardball, I think you're kind of playing into what Jim Schwartz expects, and I don't think they want. At some point in time, the Browns aren't going to want the headache, and Jim Schwartz is going to sit there and say, I got nothing to do. We can make this as difficult as you want. If he decides he's not coming back, he can be a problem.
Yes, and he has proven that. And I'll just share a quick anecdote of how I got to know him well. I was at the Senior Bowl the first year he was the Lions coach, and I'm standing on the sideline, and my ringtone at the time was a Megadeth song. And he said he was talking to somebody else, and he heard my ringtone. He turned to me and he came over to me and said, "Don't answer the phone. Let that play." We wound up talking for like 15 minutes, and he blew off people around him. He's like, "I'm talking to Jeff." I'm like, "Wow!" Like I'm a relative nobody here, and that's the kind of guy he is. He is not going to take being told what to do or being pushed very well at all. He has not changed since that time either. He's that's who he is.
Are you surprised he hasn't gotten another chance as a head coach? And again, people look at it at face value, and he had Kelvin Johnson, and he had Matthew Stafford, and he had Ndamukong Suh, but as somebody that was on it, there were some real issues that he didn't have a hand in roster-wise.
Oh yeah, the GM at the time did not have a very good grasp of things. Just as a quick example, one draft they drafted three different cornerbacks. One was an undersized zone slot. Another was a giant like outside guy without agility who needed to play zone, and the third one was a guy who couldn't run. Like he wasn't exactly given a lot of things to work with. If this sounds familiar for Browns fans, it probably should. It, he also didn't he his ending didn't come well. He sort of alienated some of the players. He plays favorites. That is a legit knock against him that comes out of his Detroit era. He played favorites with his best players and didn't necessarily pay much attention to the lesser guys, the role players. They didn't feel like they had necessarily much of a role. And his game preparation skills, like again, with a top heavy roster, you can get away with that when you're playing not so good teams, but when you're going up against good, well coached teams that have talent on the other side, he was a little bit overmatched in that. I don't think he's ever really shaken that stigma either.
Yeah, and again, you learn those things, and you would expect him to kind of prep those and understand those moving forward. Jeff,
Yeah, like you know him well enough. He's a smart guy.
Yep.
I would love for him to get a second chance just to prove that he's learned from his mistakes because I think he deserves that shot.